Welcome to Unlearning, where we go behind the curtain for an insider's perspective on the theater industry, break down the buzzworthy conversations on social media, and challenge the stigmas that hold us back. I'm Veronica Stern, and together we're unlearning and redefining what it means to thrive in the business. Now it's time to rewrite the script. Hello, wonderful people of the world, and welcome back to the Unlearning podcast. Today, my guest is Olivia Dei Cicchi, who currently is in the ensemble of Wicked on Broadway, but she is also someone that I went to Frenchwood's sleepaway camp with, and we talk about all of that. It was so lovely to get to talk with her because I admire her so much, and I think you guys are all going to really enjoy getting to know her today and getting to hear her story. Really quick, last week, I went to see Boop, and I also went to see Death Becomes Her, which means that I have now seen all of the best leading actresses in the category for the Tony Awards. If you watched my episode last week with Lindsay Stone from the Mezzanine podcast, I was like, I'm Nicole or die. And I still believe that, but I have to say how incredible all of the women in this category are. Like, if there was ever a really hard year, this is definitely one of them. Just they're all giving such superb performances for different reasons. So we will have to see what happens in June. I'm very excited. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review. And without further ado, please enjoy my episode with Olivia. Olivia, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
This is like, I've been anticipating this now for a few weeks, and I'm literally so excited to talk to you.
I'm so excited to talk to you. I'm a big fan over here.
That's insane.
Big fan of the podcast and you personally.
Oh my God, stop. Okay, so anybody that doesn't know who Olivia is, like if you're clicking on this and you're not like a Frenchwoods person or like whatever, Olivia and I, we overlapped at camp. Our paths did cross at school. No pun intended.
What year were we at camp together? A couple.
It was a couple. I started there in 2013.
The summer that like cosmically changed my life, I think.
What?
Actually, for real, I was talking to my friend about this last night. I think that the stars aligned and like the world changed in the summer of 2013 in Hancock, New York.
Wait, please explain.
In like the best and the worst way, because sometimes I feel like that was like the year that my life just like peaked in so many ways and like kind of like sent me into the world in a positive way, but also like I was just discovering things about, I think like my eyes opened to everything. Yeah, well, weird.
What I was going to say is, Olivia, you are like, I'm sorry, I'm talking about you in the third person, but it's always been like third person for me until now. It's like, I'm so excited. You were like Frenchwood's royalty in my eyes. I mean, it's just the truth. Like, when I got there in 2013, I was trying to remember this. I'm pretty sure you were doing Sunday in the Park with George.
I think that was 2014.
Was that 2014?
Yeah.
What was 2013? Because I remember specifically seeing you in something.
Yeah.
Was it Light in the Piazza?
That was 2014.
Oh.
2013 was the best summer of my career.
Your career in your
it
life?
Has like pretty much every dream role that I ever want to play in my life.
Okay, what was
like
2013?
Violet.
Okay.
It was Sweeney Todd.
Okay.
It was Kiss Me Kate.
I definitely didn't see that one.
It was Evita, which I'm not gonna play, but like,
okay.
And then I did like what were they called? Stock shows?
Right. What was the stock show?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure it was.
It wasn't, because the new theater was built in 2014, and that's where we yeah. But it was right. But someone watching this is going to be like, it was this show, and right, I'm like, okay. I don't remember.
The point is, I saw the stock show because that was my first summer, and I went in session 4, and that's when stock shows usually perform, whatever. I remember watching you, and I was like, holy crap, if this is what like this camp is, I'm in for a ride. Because, okay, I guess I can talk about 2014 because maybe I'll remember more of that.
2014 was definitely Sunday in the Park with George.
And was it also Light in the Piazza?
That was just like a regular carryover show.
That's insane.
And yes, and I did it with the worst fever of my life.
You're kidding.
I remember someone was standing off stage with a bucket, and I was just like, also just like the idea of doing so many different shows at the same time. Like, I think at that point I was doing Light in the Piazza. I was carrying over Gypsy. I was also getting ready to do something else, but like, and then also cab troupe, and then also it was like I was doing 5 shows at the same time, and then I was like, and then we're gonna do Light in the Piazza at night at the ripe age of 16 years old.
Insane. And like, I was watching a video before this. I was watching you in Sunday in the Park with George, which is probably why it's on the top of my mind. You, Olivia, I mean, you're so talented, like, truly. I'm not just saying this. I know people are going to be like, she's hyping her up. No, like, you guys don't understand. Olivia's voice, your voice is amazing.
I think you're hyping me up.
No, I'm not kidding right now. Like, and the fact that you sounded like that at age 16, insane.
I think, and I think about this a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the power that Frenchwoods had to like, they put me on, and I'm like not too happy about it now in my adult life, because I think it actually set me up for like a weird warped idea of how the world, I didn't think I was gonna like just cannonball into the industry like and be a star, but like I definitely thought it would be a little bit easier than it is, and I've been very blessed in my career, but like Frenchwoods like put me on a pedestal so much, and so I was like, nothing can touch me, and it gave me this like unbelievable sense of confidence that I think was helpful, and I try to tap into every now and again, and it like doesn't work the same. So I think like I'm like not kidding when I'm like that I hope to be as fearless as I was when I was 16 years old.
What do you think gave you that fearlessness? Because I agree with you. I also look back at Frenchwoods, and I was not nearly as successful as you there, which is like weird to say.
It's so weird to say.
Like, I was successful at a theater camp, but like, if you don't know what Frenchwoods is, guys, it's like insane. Like,
it's crazy.
There's the Jimmy Awards, which my dad always laughs about.
I wish I did the Jimmy Awards.
I can't believe you didn't do the Jimmy Awards.
My school like didn't know about the Jimmy Awards. I didn't know about the Jimmy Awards until after I dropped out of college.
Well, if the Jimmy Awards never existed, I would say the second best thing was like Frenchwoods in terms of just like the level of young arts,
which I did do.
I was going to ask you about young arts.
Yeah. We'll talk about it
first. Well, all is to say, I agree with you that I think for good and for bad, Frenchwoods gives you a level of confidence if you are tapped to be one of those kids, because it's not everybody that gets that, you know, roll, big show. But if you are one of those kids, it does give you a level of confidence that can help you, but it can also really hurt you.
I think it definitely does. And I think not only does it hurt the person that it's happening to, I think it is really bad for people that young kind of to see it set up the way that it is. And that's not to say that like, you know, like societal hierarchy like exists in the world everywhere, but like, and it's going to feel so like intense when you're that young. But I'm just like reflecting and looking back and being like, I don't think it was healthy for any of us sometimes. You know what I mean?
I totally do.
It feels weird to say out loud, but I'm just like, you know, it gets a little, I can't say the word because it's not PC.
What is
like,
it?
I just means it feels like a little bitchy.
Oh, you can say that.
Okay, it feels a little bitchy.
Yeah.
So, you know, and the industry can be a little bitchy.
Totally. So I think going from Frenchwoods into, because you went there until like 17, 18?
17. I left right before I turned 18 years old.
Right. So you kind of went right into like the craziness of, wait, did you go to Dreyfus?
I did.
Okay.
I went to Bach and then I went to Dreyfus.
You went to a performing arts high school as well.
Yeah.
So you always kind of knew your trajectory was going to be like, I'm going to go to college? Or was it like everybody else around you was going to college and so you also wanted to as like a result?
Well, I remember my parents really didn't want me to go to college because both of my parents are professional musicians, and like my dad dropped out of high school and my mom ran away from home. They both ran away from home, and they like, the 80s was a different time. They made it so seemingly effortlessly, and they had like never taken class, and they just like had this like natural talent. And so I guess they kind of, some way I found myself in musical theater, like what a departure from like heavy metal, big hair rock and roll,
right?
Which was always hilarious that I was like, I'm gonna sing opera, and they were like, how are you doing this right now, and why do you have this interest? I like dragged my butt to the local library and downloaded every single original Broadway soundtrack I could onto my MacBook and was just like plugging that on a 60-minute bus ride to school. Les Mis being one of them. But No, I like everyone was going to get a BFA. It's like you go to get, that is what you do.
Right.
So I had like my top dream schools and CCM was one of them.
Really?
I got off the wait list, but I got off the wait list on the last day of like that you could like close your application. And I was like, can I visit tomorrow? And I'm like in Florida and they're like, no, you can't visit. And I was like, so I got into Penn State and I knew like I had just seen like Caroline Bowman in the Evita tour. And I was like, well, she went to Penn State, so that sounds great for me.
Right.
So
It was always like the thing. And I remember this too. Sometimes I look back at how I chose college and I'm like, well, this person went there, so I guess I'll just go there.
I think that must still
Be
exist. It must. I guess you kind of see people that you feel like you could like follow in their footsteps in a sort of way. And then, but I don't know. All I knew is I got there and I was like, maybe not.
So what about the college experience made you realize it wasn't for you?
Like, I wasn't in it. I just wasn't. I feel like, funny enough, I actually feel like I really get along with the people I was in class with. Like now when I run into them, I think they're all really lovely. I just think I didn't really fit in with that group there. And on top of that, because of Frenchwoods, I have my now agent and my old manager, but my manager was in LA for film and TV. So I was 16 years old and I remember like Beth was like, you have a phone call in the office. And it was like, I picked up the phone. He was like, hi, I'm blah, blah, blah. And I'm from this talent agency in LA. And I represent like Zac Efron and LL Cool J. And I'm like 16. And I'm like, what? So they signed me and I was doing all these auditions while I was at school.
So wait, you got discovered at Frenchwoods?
No, literally.
What?
I have my agent. I'm with DJRW because of Frenchwoods.
Are you serious?
That's what I'm saying is like, I feel like weird to talk weirdly about Frenchwoods because
it gave you so much.
I would not be where I am if it wasn't for Frenchwoods.
Okay. I did not realize that's what you meant. Let's go back for a second.
Let's go back.
First of all, did somebody's kid go to Frenchwoods? And
yes.
Okay.
So I was a CIT, is that what we call it? Or super. I was a super.
Yeah. And that's for anybody
I'm
listening.
getting hit in the face with like memories.
No, sure. So a super at Frenchwoods is like if you're 17 and you're like probably done being a camper, they'll like
should be done.
Yeah, they'll basically be like, you can work here for like a discount, I guess, and still be in like every single thing.
Yes. At
like 17 years old.
But you're living with 12-year-olds.
Right. But you have to be a counselor in the bunk.
Yes.
Which, you know.
It
was like loose.
It's okay.
It was very loose.
But anyway, one of my campers was, her father was like a financial manager for my old manager and in DJRW, Jim Wilhelm, before he passed away.
Yes.
And she sent a video of me and Sweeney Todd.
You're joking.
Like that was the one, right? Like, oh, this 16-year-old playing Mrs. Lovett. Like, that's it. So he sent that video. Or no, wait, he came to see it and then he sent the video to the talent agents. And then they were like, the agent is like a little bit later. It came along because they actually didn't want to sign me because they didn't have anybody on their roster that didn't have a BFA. This was before getting a BFA. This was before like the Jimmy Awards popped off with like putting 18-year-olds on Broadway and
that is so interesting.
So they're like, we don't have anybody without a BFA. So when you get one, come back.
Interesting.
And I was like, I'm not going to get one.
And this is you saying this at like 16 years old, 16, 17?
Yeah, to Jim Wilhelm.
Whoa.
Love him. He really took a chance. He really took a chance.
But so when did they sign you then?
2017.
Oh,
2017. Okay. I dropped out of college. I worked at Starbucks for like 3 months in Florida. And then I was like, I have to move to New York. I moved to New York. I shared a 1-bedroom apartment with my best friend. And he was like, get a New York address and then we'll have you audition. I'm not joking. I got a New York address like a couple weeks later. I moved there. I messaged him. I live here now. Pulled me in for an audition in this like office building.
Yeah.
And it happened. And I'm still not 20 yet.
That's insane, Olivia.
I was so lucky. Just luck. Pure luck.
So, yeah. And I think that's another thing about Frenchwoods. The beauty of it is because it is such a premier spot for theater and whatever, so many people's like super influential parents send their kids there. And because we're all just kids and we're just like having fun and we're just enjoying ourselves, like I don't think you were like, this kid's parent is this person.
No.
It just like happens, and that's an insane story. I did not realize that.
I forgot how we got there, but yes, it is.
Wow.
Oh, why I dropped out of school?
Yeah.
Because I was auditioning, and the dean that had accepted me was actually leaving, and a new dean was coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So this new dean like had kind of no idea who I was or who my class was.
Right.
And he was like, you cannot be auditioning for 13 Reasons Why at like 3 a.m. when you're supposed to be turning in this project. And I was like, okay.
I think that that's something that a lot of musical theater schools deal with, and a lot of musical theater students at these BFA programs also deal with, is the idea that like, and this is very hot take, you don't really need a BFA program. It's like kind of like a fake thing, and to like, you know, throw money at people, and they know how gullible we are. And like, I'm so sorry to be saying this in front of my dad, but like, it is a fake thing. Like, you had the talent to just come to New York, and like you didn't. And knowing what BFA programs do, I would say you were better off just coming to New York and just like doing it. And I don't know, do you agree with that?
I think I was.
Yeah.
I think that everybody has to kind of suss it out for themselves.
Yes.
Though. I'm glad I went.
You are.
I'm really glad I had that experience, but I also was like, I was very aware that it just wasn't right. It wasn't for me. And I was partying hard and not working as hard as I should have, like academically.
Would you say that you're glad that you went because now you were able to like look back and say, well, at least I tried?
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of wondering your whole life what would have been different?
Yes, but it's also really cool because like I now work with people I went to college with.
Right.
And like, I don't think I would have had Les Mis because I joined Les Mis way before my class graduated. So that wouldn't have happened. I probably don't know if I would have had my agent. Maybe I would have gotten a different agent.
Sure.
But like everything kind of fell into place. I still like, I have the recurring dream that I go back to college.
Really?
At least once a month. I have this dream, and it's really like vivid, and I am making this decision. And I remember in my dream, I'm like, am I doing this? Why am I doing this? And I'm like, I don't know. It just feels like this is what I should be doing. Oh. That kind of narrative of like should be. And I mean, like, school helps so many people. I would never tell someone not to go to school. But what I don't like is when like teachers are like, you have to go to school. Have you seen this TikTok that's been kind of like circling of this guy?
Yes.
I love it.
My friend sent it to me the other day.
It's so great.
Let me tell everybody what it says. Yes. And maybe I did cut you off, so maybe this is not the TikTok, but basically it's this guy that said BFA programs are accepting like a ton of kids now because it's a money grab, and these universities are like, we need money. And so BFA programs are like, sure, we'll accept 40 kids, knowing really like about 10 of them are actually the ones that they really want to like train. But they're going to accept all of them because musical theater is a popular major, and they know they can get money, and they know how, and this is not what the guy says, but they know how desperate, you know, 16, 17-year-olds are to be accepted and to be wanted and to be in these programs, because they think, oh, this person went to this school, I'm going to become this person. Not realizing that a lot of what happens after BFA programs is luck. And I don't know if you feel this way, but like, I think a lot of these BFA programs, the kids that come out of them really successful had the chops going in.
I agree.
So
I agree, and I'm afraid to say that sometimes.
I think it's just the truth.
I have like a really weird, well, I'm thinking of one specific person in my head that I'm not going to say. I'll tell you afterwards, that I have watched soar, and I'm very proud of this person. But like, I think a lot of people wouldn't have said the same thing about them now, like before they went into school. So here's like these like few examples of people that like really reap the benefits of school.
Yes.
But I have a hot take that I'm like, I come from a family of singers, and so I'm like, I'm not like, this is the one thing I'm really good at, and so I take a lot of pride in it, and I'm like, I don't think you can teach people how to be good singers or good actors. I think it's something that you're born with, and you can kind of like nurture that craft.
I was gonna say, you can definitely be a part of classes and have a place to like practice and stuff, but I don't think they can teach you how to be a good singer.
No.
And I think that anybody that maybe came into school that didn't have it and became a star, they had it already. Again, they had it already and they just refined it. So they needed school to refine it. So it's like a really weird conversation of like, does school matter? Does it not for musical theater? And like, what does it do? I will say, I think that people that do go to these programs have a different sense of the industry.
What do you think about that? What do you mean?
I think that like, and again, it's so hard because like, I think it's just like,
gosh, I'm obsessed with you. You're so cute.
I'm like,
I can see the wheels turning in your head, and I'm like, I resonate.
No, I know, because I'm like, what do I mean by that? But I guess what I mean is like, you do get a leg up by going to a BFA program because let me say this.
Yeah.
You go to a showcase, the showcase is baked into it. Sure. You do get seen. So there's a different level of like, I'm going to CCM. I'm going to have 4 years here. I know at the end of it, I'm going to get seen by somebody.
Sure. Yeah.
Whereas if you're coming to the city and you didn't have that programming, you have to maybe fight a little bit harder to make sure you're getting seen by these people, calling the right people, doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
That's what I mean, I guess.
Yeah. I guess I forget that the thing that happened to me is like not ever, even in another lifetime, not going to happen to me again. So it was like really random and just like the stars aligning.
Yeah.
So yes, I understand your point, and that is true.
Okay, I want to get into Les Mis. Now, was Les Mis your first professional contract that you did?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I got my equity card that way.
I was going to ask.
Yeah, like getting I was actually supposed to do Jersey Boys at Ogunquit. That was supposed to be my first job. That was going to get me my equity card. My agent calling me and telling me I booked a regional production, a couple weeks of like Francine in Jersey Boys was pinnacle moment of my life. Sobbed for like days. And then I got, this story is actually crazy.
I want to hear it.
I don't even know how to tell it in a nutshell, but like I got Jersey Boys. I went home. I remember going home over like a month or something because I was just like, I was still 19 and I was like mentally not in a good place. And like just, again, here's the other thing about like not going to school is that I didn't have any friends that were my age. All my friends were still in school. So I was living in the city with this one really like my best friend now, but like we were living together in a one bedroom and it was like really difficult for us both kind of coming into ourselves and kind of beginning to understand how difficult this was going to be in this industry. That like I went home and I was like just kind of trying to take care of myself. And then my agent was like, so Phantom had been circulating in my life a lot. And I went in, it was one of the first auditions. The first like 3 auditions my agents threw at me was Frozen before it came out.
Okay. To be Anna or to be Elsa?
To be Elsa, and I was 19 and I was so awkward looking and like I was like, I don't know how to. Another weird crazy story is like I think most of the synchronicities in my life happen because like I like know one person who like believes in me, who knows a heavy hitter. Sure. And like this one person that I knew was like, oh, I kind of know this other guy that kind of knows Bernie Telsey. So then
that kind of knows
like
him.
I'm not kidding you. I'd never been on an audition, like a musical theater Broadway audition in my entire life. I'm at the old Telsey building above the Hard Rock. That's where it was, right?
I don't know. I've never been there.
It doesn't exist anymore, but I think it was above the Hard Rock in Times Square. And it's for Elsa in Frozen, which in my mind, I'm like, I'm not going to get this, but how exciting is this?
And like pre-Broadway.
It didn't exist yet. The Broadway production did not exist.
Oh, because this is 2017.
Yeah.
And like Frozen came out a year ago before that, like maybe 2 years. That's insane. Wow.
Yes. So I remember, oh my gosh, I remember sitting next to this girl and I just looked over to her. Now reflecting, I'm like, was it Jenny DeNoia? She had a green hairline. And I was like, oh my God, it's happening. So I went into the room, or I was waiting outside the room, and I forget who like the casting associate was, but they were like, hey, give us 1 second. They went and they got somebody else. This man goes in the room, they call me in, I go in, and they introduce themselves as they do. And they're like, I'm so-and-so, I'm so-and-so. And this guy's like, hi, I'm Bernie Telsey. For some reason, for my first Broadway audition, they decided to bring Bernie Telsey into the room. And I hope he doesn't remember it because I blacked out. And I also am sure I didn't do a very good job because I was like simultaneously freaking out that he was in the room with me and also that I was just sitting next to an alphaba. That was crazy for me. But yeah, that was my, anyway, how do we get there?
That was Frozen.
Gosh,
so
that was Frozen, yes.
How did that lead to Les Mis?
Wait, why did we go there?
You said something about Phantom. I know that you said Phantom.
Oh,
had
it was
been
one of the first
circling in your
auditions that I
life.
had. So it was Frozen. It was Wicked.
Whoa.
I've auditioned for Wicked 5 times.
I can't wait to get to that.
And then it was Phantom. What? Those were the first 3 auditions that I had. And I wasn't ready for any of them.
And I'm gonna assume they were like all just like principal auditions, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like great, but also
Sure.
like, yeah.
Insane.
Yeah. So I was in for Phantom over time, and then I felt like I was finally ready for it when I had gone home to Florida, and they called me back up. So they're like, they're going to go launch this Asia tour. You're in for the Christine alternate.
Whoa.
I go in, I get a call back. I get another call back. I get another call back. And then on that same couple days that I had driven from Florida up to New York with my mom. That's something my family likes to do. We don't like to take airplanes.
Fair
so
enough.
we do these road trips. And they were like, hey, also while you're up here for these few days, they're having a Les Mis audition. It's just across the street.
Right.
So
Is Les Mis is not the same. It's Cameron McIntosh, but it's not the same like people involved.
like, I think it is because it's Tara Rubin.
Oh, is it? Oh, that's right.
So they knew that it was the same office.
Yeah, right.
So I don't remember exactly the timeline. So maybe they saw me do it for Christine and they were like, oh, yeah.
Yeah, there's a tour. Was it the beginning of the tour?
No, I was replacing somebody.
Oh, okay.
So this is like, it's always so funny because now I think like, when you go to an audition and you're like, I have a real chance at this. Like I worked so hard on it and like I really think I could get it. And then you like don't.
Yes.
Crickets. And then you'll like go to something and you're like not prepared and you're just like not on your radar. And then like that's the thing that you get.
Of course.
So this is what happened with me in Les Mis. So I like learned the Cosette material the day before. I think that's how much time I had. And then I went in and I remember there being so many girls in this hallway. And I was like, all right, so I'm not going to get it. Like there's just too many people here. And then I heard people singing at the end of the day through the door. And I didn't realize that was in the packet. I prepared Cosette and I prepared Lovely Ladies. And I was shaking because I was like, oh my God, I've never been unprepared for something like this. So the nicest women in the world, some of them eventually joined the tour and recalled this story, crowded around me because I was like, does anybody have sheet music that I can borrow? They let me borrow their sheet music. They taught it to me, like 3 or 4 girls.
Oh my God.
I went in. I did it.
Was it for Jim?
No.
Really?
It was for Liam. Do you know Liam?
No.
Liam is no longer the resident director there.
Sure.
No, he's not. But he was there.
Okay.
And then it was Lindsay, I think, was also there. Was it Lindsay or Mary?
Interesting.
But I went in and they were like, can you step outside for a second? Right? I was like, yeah, of course I can. I know what that means.
Sure.
Talk about me.
Yeah.
So then I did, and they had me come back in, and I did it again, and then they were like, good, you're good to go. And like never a callback. And then
you just booked it?
But then the next day, I think I had my final for Phantom, and guess who was there?
Cameron.
Hal Prince.
Oh my God.
Right? No, like I fully unaware of
and they didn't tell you?
No, I think that they did in the email, but like
you just like in a whim. You were
I'm
just in a world
unaware, like not knowing. And you know what? Probably for the best. And I went in there and I did it and I got it.
You got Phantom?
Yeah. And I never got to do it.
For Asia tour?
Yeah.
Wait, why?
I was going to be the Christine alternate because it was supposed to start. This is in
2017?
June. This is in like May or June. I started Les Mis in June. So my agent calls me. I'm in New York after I did all these auditions a couple days later. And I'm like, I got a call from him. And I'm like, oh my God, I got Phantom. I picked up the phone and he's like, you got Les Mis. What? Like not on my radar. Sure. I really didn't think anything of it. And I was there for Phantom. Like I drove up for Phantom. And then on my drive back down to Florida, I get a call from him and he's like, you also got Phantom. but that wasn't starting for like 8 more months.
Oh.
So he was like, join Les Mis and then you'll go and do Phantom. So I'm on the Les Mis tour, and I think somewhere along the way he was like, the contracts aren't like you're doing really well right now. Let's keep you here. It's your first tour. Like,
Sure.
It didn't work out. And
how insane.
I mean, I'm devastated that I was off book already. Like
For Phantom?
Yes.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm processing all of that right now.
I also am, because I don't know if I've said that like out loud in a long time.
And for Les Mis, you came and you did the Innkeeper's Wife.
Innkeeper's Wife, understudied Cosette.
And then they added Fantine.
I think I did that. I think I like manifested that for myself.
I'm curious to know what happened.
Somebody left, and I didn't even know that was something that I could do. But
sure. You didn't know you could do Fantine? Or you didn't know like you could add it on?
I think I didn't know both of those things. I think I'm a person who is like, if there's something that I'm not necessarily right for, but I like and want to give it a go, like I'm going to give it a go.
Yeah. No,
and I was so young. And like, I was actually looking back at pictures the other day because they came up on my memories, and I was like, you look like a baby. Like, how are you struggling? How do you have like a child already? Like, how are you walking the streets?
Well, I mean, it's so funny that you say that, because now I like all of the girls that did Fantine when I was on tour were all so young. So maybe you were the blueprint. I don't know.
I don't know. But somebody left, and I auditioned, and then they added it, and then I was covering both of them, and I was like, I'm living my actual best life right now. This is stretching me, and like I'm just like in so many different directions that I wanted to be, and like I'm just like really honing my craft. I felt like I got like they're so different.
They're so different.
And then to work with the people I got to work with, and it's just like all so great. Yeah.
Yeah. So you did that until COVID.
I did it until COVID.
Like, I was reading a review, you literally were Fantine like the day before everything shut down.
I think I was
North Carolina.
Yeah. Okay, research.
I did my research.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't want to talk about all the COVID stuff because we know what happened.
Happened.
I don't know if we're allowed to talk about this, so maybe I'll cut this part.
Let's talk about it. Oh, you can cut. You can cut things. Okay.
They made everybody on the tour re-audition.
Yes.
Which was insane. Insane. That's my take on that. But that's when we saw each other again, because I was also in for Cosette.
And Cameron McIntosh, who was there?
Cameron was there. It was resident director at the time, Jim.
Yes.
And
Corey Agnew.
Corey, yes.
Love.
And I want to say Lawrence O'Connor was also there.
It was.
Lawrence Connor or whatever.
It was, yes.
So I remember I was like in the holding room, and then you walked in, and in my mind I was like, all right, so this is done for me. I don't even know what I'm supposed to, like, what I'm doing here. So it was insane.
This is a really great thing, I think, to be talking about just for actors to hear.
Yeah.
Because I thought the same thing when I saw you.
Are you kidding?
No.
That's
because you're a perfect Cosette.
Wow. Well, thank you.
And so, and like, truth be told, like, we can both do it, but like,
Sure.
we're going to do it differently. And
Totally.
it's honestly just like, what flavor lollipop are they feeling that day? But I was like, oh, she's going to get that.
Oh
I was going in because I went in and I thought I had a better chance of being Fantine. They scratched that immediately, and they were like, Cosette. And I was like, I don't know if I have like grown. I'm older. I feel like I kind of like filled out a little bit. Like, I just wasn't really sure. So many different like things in my head that the industry had pushed in.
Right, because at that point it had been like almost 2 years since the last time you were on tour. And
like 4 years since they cast me.
Sure.
So that's a different thing too. So I saw you and I was like, and then also Delaney Geyer was there, who I don't know, but I know of because I remember she was so sweet, and now she's doing it on tour.
Yeah.
But yeah. And then as soon as I walked into that room, you know, when you just like, you walk in and you're like, it's not working out.
Yes. No, that's so funny. And I remember thinking it was just like one of those things where I was like, I know all of these people are re-auditioning for the tour, and which was insane to me at the time. But I knew Jim because I'd worked with him and Sadie Todd. So I was like, maybe there's a chance. And if anything, I'm going to audition in front of Cameron McIntosh. Like, okay, that's good enough for me. So ultimately, that didn't work out. I actually don't know. Did they offer it to you?
I was going to get an offer. So at this point, Wicked was in the mix.
Yeah, I was about to say, when did Wicked come into all of it?
It was happening at the same time.
Wow.
Wicked is also, I can tell you kind of the story of this because this is also kind of crazy timing. Like, I still struggle to believe that like everything is happening at the right time, because I'm like, I go in for something, I'm like, why didn't I get that? And like, it was just so right for me. And I feel like it was the right time. But like, I look back and I reflect and I'm like, this was right. So Les Mis had notified my agent that they wanted me. I hadn't like signed a contract. I hadn't gotten the official offer, but they were like, we are going to probably give her an offer, ensemble, understudy Cosette, no understudy Fantine, which made me really sad because I felt like I was getting like demoted. And I was like, did they not like my Fantine?
That's a very fair thing to think.
But I actually genuinely think that they were just like starting from scratch. They were just like, we are just wanting something new and different. And it was all, the contract was different, and it was really, so, you know, had Wicked not turned out, I would have, I was excited. I was like, maybe I'll see some of my old friends. And then like, there were so little people invited back in the end. Frightening. It was a great company, and I wanted to see the show, the new cast, and I really wanted to see them because I hear that they're great too. But it was a sad time. But with Wicked, here's the Wicked story. I went in this end of 2022, and my friend Dominique, who actually was on Les Mis with me, and she understudied Eponine, was also there, and she's from LA and I'm from Florida, and we were like, wait, what? And then this ensemble track was open, and she ended up getting it. And then 6 months later, the same audition rolled around, and she was leaving. She wanted to go back to LA. So, so I already knew the choreo. It was fresh in my brain. I knew the material. I sang like the worst possible. They were like, because they only want you to sing the last. And then they're like, bring your own songs. And I'm like terrible. I hate when they're like, choose your own song.
I hate that too.
I can't choose my own song, actually. Just tell me what to sing. So I like sang Lost in the Brass from Band Geeks.
I saw you post that on TikTok.
Why did I do that? I don't
know. I've never auditioned for the ensemble of Wicked. So I've never like been a part of that process. So I don't even know like what it is that they ask you to just sing the end of No One Mourns the Wicked?
Yeah.
So like Lost in the Brass is a good choice to me.
I don't know. Why didn't I sing a Stephen Schwartz song though? That would have made a lot more sense.
You know, the whole idea of like singing a song that is like the style of the show or the composer is like, sing what makes you feel the best.
I didn't know what was making me feel the best at that point.
Lost in the Brass.
That, and then he was like, Dan Michike was like, do you have anything else? And I was like, I have the very end of A Heart Full of Love. And then he had me sing that.
Classic. I was like, there you go. You're like, yes, I am a soprano.
It all worked out.
Wow.
Really weird day I found out that I booked Wicked though, because I woke my mom's brother, who's like, was basically her father figure, was really sick. I woke up that morning, April 20th. And she was like, Stanley passed away. So we knew that was coming. It was a really sad day. And an hour later, my agent called me and was like, you booked Wicked. And I was like, how do I tell my family the best thing that's ever happened to me has just happened on the saddest day ever?
Wow.
And it was really great because I think it turned everybody's morale around. But it was also kind of weird because my Uncle Stanley would always kind of poke at me and he'd be like, when are you going to be on Broadway? When are you going to be on Broadway? And then like an hour after he died, like I booked Broadway, and it makes me really emotional.
I literally have chills.
It's really crazy. It's wild. Really, really crazy.
So now you've been doing Wicked for like 3 years.
3 years on May 17th.
How do you feel?
I'm like 20 shows shy of 1,000 shows, and I feel lucky, and especially to be a part of it right now.
You've been in some like iconic years. This has been a really, really iconic stretch.
Yes. Like I can't imagine what it's like to be in Wicked when the movie isn't a thing, really. Like it was already gearing up when I had joined, I think.
Sure.
And it's bizarre. Like it's funny because people are always like, oh, it must be crazy right now with the movie. The houses must be packed. And I'm like, it was packed before the movie.
I mean, yeah.
There was never a concern about it closing. It was like sold out, and now now there's more fans, and it's wild. It's amazing. The cast is amazing. I think the opportunity, like Wicked does this thing that I'm not sure a lot of Broadway shows do, but they like flush their principals out every year pretty much.
Yeah.
Just, like definitely the witches. But it's like I've gotten to see so many different versions of these roles, and it's so exciting every single time.
I wonder, is that something that keeps it very fresh for you?
Yeah. I like love that they do that. From like an actor point of view and like job security, it's scary.
Sure.
Because like I would love to do that one day, but now I'm used to like kind of having the cush of the job, and I'm like, okay, you have to know that like if you get this great opportunity, like it's gone in a year, and then you know. Right.
But interesting. I would love to talk to an Elphaba one day and ask them about that, because it's knowing what it feels like to lead a show. Obviously it's not Wicked, but after like 6 months you're like, whoa.
I bet.
In a way that's so different from the ensemble, because it's like in the ensemble I feel like, not that you can like, not coast is not the right word, and I don't know what it's like in Wicked, but like at least in Les Mis, if you were in the ensemble, like it's an,
you can say coast.
I hate to say that
you
it's
can
an
say
easy
coast.
show.
Yeah.
There's just like longevity that's a different longevity than being the principal and like having to like carry the thing on your back every single day.
If you feel like a note isn't gonna happen, if you're cracking or you're anything, you are cushioned by everybody around you.
That's it. That's exactly it.
Yeah,
you can kind of like give a different level of energy than having to just stand alone. And that was something I really loved about doing Les Mis and having that opportunity after Anastasia. I was like, I can like relax a little bit, which is like so fun, you know?
Yeah.
I was gonna ask you, what has been the biggest difference being on tour versus on Broadway, other than the traveling, you know? Because now these are two like big commercial shows.
Yeah.
And I'm just curious.
I mean, obviously like having a regular home to return to, but I think the great thing about, like, I feel like me going on tour now would be a lot different than how I did it then, because like I didn't know any different. I was like week to week tour. That's great. Like that's wonderful. Oh my God. I'm so like, cause I was looking at tours that were doing one nighters and I was like, wouldn't want to do that. But now I'm looking at 1 week tours and I'm like, I mean, I would still do it, you know, for the right role, but it's hard. It's so hard.
It's not worth it.
But I was so young, and like you're supposed to tour when you're young. I think it's a great opportunity.
I completely agree.
The social dynamic is the biggest thing, I think.
Really?
Like, yeah, when you're on tour, I think like you're in a bubble. Those are your people. That's your only option. That is like, we're just talking about this at work, but like we don't like to use the word family. Like we're a family because it's like we are coworkers, but it feels like on tour it's like you're kind of you're like kind of not forced, but like to be a family.
Interesting. I've always wondered that, because I've obviously done only tours, and I also sometimes struggle with the idea that like you're family, because like you are coworkers, and there's sometimes things come up as coworkers, and if there's that family dynamic, it's really awkward. But it's interesting to hear that, you know, it really is like a job. Like, it's so interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like everyone here is friends too, but like we also we hang. And then sometimes we don't. We want to see our partners or our family members.
When you're on tour, it's like lunch, breakfast, dinner. You're the only people you have.
I'm right down the hall, or I'm just a floor under you. Like it's like, you know, it's just so much more accessible.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would say that, and like, you know, also the airports, like having to do all of that. You rent Airbnbs together.
Right.
It's that, and it's also just like change of scene, and I think people get a lot more sick when they're on tour. Like you're just changing environments so frequently, and also like, I mean, I'm very curious what it's like to be on a tour right now with the political climate, especially like if you're in a show that like touches on that. So, and speaking of politics and tour, shall we? Shall we?
So it's so interesting because Les Mis had a bit of a big week last week, and that's not why I invited you on. That just happened to occur. But basically, they're performing at the Kennedy Center in June, I believe, and Trump's administration has now made the Les Mis stay there this like whole big thing. I guess a lot of people involved are just really struggling right now because they can't really say much about it. And it's an awkward thing. Like, would you perform if Trump was there? Yeah? No? I don't know what I would do. I think I wouldn't. I know I wouldn't. But also, like, I don't know. It's like, it's one day, and I would just kind of be like, I would protest in some way. I don't know.
I think that, like, there's also nothing wrong with doing the show for Trump. It's like, you make your choice. That's best for you. I know people that are not doing it because they don't want to be in the same room with him. I know people that are doing it because they don't want him to steal any more of the joy any more joy than he already has.
Yes.
There's also, like, some sort of, like, rule that, like, no president is allowed to see Les Mis. Have you heard about this?
Because of the gunshots?
Yes.
Was that real?
I think it is. I've heard now, ever since this has come up, I've heard now a couple people say this because there's like 12 minutes of chaos and the gun smoke, and it's like different than Hamilton is more kind of like, I actually haven't seen Hamilton. So
me neither.
We should go see Hamilton.
We should.
You should be in Hamilton.
Well, yeah. But, no, I was going to say, this is the reason why I'm struggling with the question, and I'm like so grateful that I'm not on tour anymore because I would be probably losing my mind. Because of this? Because of this, and because it's a bubble. And so everybody's just like in the bubble, whereas like we're outside of it, so we can be like, have a bit of a different perspective over it. And like outside of it, I can be like, all right, like I would feel worse if like Trump came and didn't even see the show and then I called out for nothing.
I wonder if Trump even knows he's going to see Les Mis. Honestly, like, I will be shocked if he shows up. But also it's like supposed to be the first show that he's seeing.
Yeah.
And now on top of this, you have the Kennedy Center director saying that we need to like blacklist any actor
is the part that
doesn't do the show.
Yeah, that's the part that's disturbing to me, and the part that I hope that people on the tour know that like that is just the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
It's so funny because he doesn't know anything about this industry. And like, I was talking to a casting director friend of mine and I was telling him about this and he was like, what's he going to do? Come and tell us not to cast someone?
Right.
Yeah, right.
He's going to like give them a list.
It's supposed to be like, well, you should know who you can trust to show up for work and stuff. And we're just like, you just don't know what you're talking about.
No, it's so ridiculous. So in a way I would feel like I need to stick it to the man by performing and being like, I'm still going to do my job and like, F you if you think you're going to like scare me like that. But also if I know if I was on tour, I'd be like, no, I'm calling out.
Right. You know what I would love to see though?
What?
You remember when Mike Pence came to see Hamilton and somebody like spoke directly to him at curtain call as he was leaving the theater?
Yes.
I would love to see that.
That's what I want as well. See, that's why I know I shouldn't perform, because if I was performing, I'd do something crazy like that.
But like, that's how we should use our voices. You know, you have one chance to speak to this like tyrant.
Maybe they will.
I hope they do.
Also, just by doing Les Mis, it's a protest show.
This is the thing, though. I genuinely don't think he's going to understand the point and the message of Les Mis.
No.
In one ear, out the other. It's such an important message to reach someone like that, and yet it will fall on deaf ears.
I have one question that I ask everybody that comes on the podcast.
Okay.
And it's, what does success look like to you now? And how has that changed since you've been a part of this industry for a little bit, and kind of like maybe 16-year-old self versus today?
See, like, I knew this question was coming because I listened to all of these episodes and I was like, I promised myself I'm just going to answer it in the moment with whatever inspiration strikes me. And like, full transparency, I think I have had, and even recently, a really warped like kind of idea of what success looks like. And I think only recently, now that I've kind of gotten into like, I've started like writing my own music, I'm releasing an EP in the summer, like this is really exciting for me, and a new passion and like talent I think that I have is that like you have to create your own path to success, and that success should really only be like using your voice for what you think is important and also making yourself happy. Because I know so many successful people that are just miserable, and it's taken me a long time to realize that like getting a Tony nom or like leading this like OBC is like not going to fix all of my problems. I would love to do those things, but I also realize if I haven't like fully like engaged in self-love and loving myself, that none of that is I'm not going to be present for it. So I'm in this like self-love chapter of my life where I just want to make myself happy in the moment. And so whatever that is, like, it is. I don't know if that even answered the question.
I think it did 100%. And I'm so grateful that you were so open and so honest, because that's like all we can ask for, especially in this business where everything feels very phony sometimes. And
it's weird right now.
You just want to like shake people and be like, what do you actually think? Just like say what you actually think and how you actually feel, and that will be enough, you know?
Yeah.
So, oh my gosh, Olivia, thank you so much for coming on my show.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so grateful. Before we go, there's two things.
Okay.
One, tell everyone where they can find you, and so that they know like about all the music coming out.
Oh my gosh. Well, you can find me on my Instagram. It's just, I think it's Olivia_the_Cheech. You just follow me there.
I'll put it on the screen.
I have a TikTok page that I'm like, do I know my TikTok handle? I think it's just Olivia Dei Cicchi.
I'll also put it up there.
I just record a bunch of silly songs and such, and I'm pretty sure my neighbors hate me because my walls are thin and I'm just belting all the time.
They're probably like, oh, for Broadway for free. Love it.
and the music will come. I'll put it on my socials. I don't even know. I don't know where it's gonna. Maybe go to Spotify.
Everybody will follow, and then they'll know.
Yeah.
The last thing I want to end with is this. Do you remember Dying Ain't So Bad? I'm not gonna make you sing it or anything.
I do.
I was reminiscing because you know how on Las Culturistas they say, what's the culture that made you say culture was for you?
Uh-huh.
Like, what's the musical theater that made you say musical theater is for you? Me in I don't remember what house it was called. Playhouse, maybe?
Playhouse. Oh
Me in the Playhouse, at the top of the Playhouse. I snuck up there just to hear you sing Dying Ain't So Bad in like 2015 because I was obsessed.
Were you there the first night or the second night? Do you remember?
When you did the opt-up?
So the first night that happened, my best friend at summer camp was like, do an opt-out, do it. Like middle of the show, you know that like little side door where like you could go backstage?
I remember this. I remember I was there.
He was like, do a little opt-out.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I planned something different. And in that moment, I like forgot and I panicked and I did something crazier and stupider.
Yeah. You did. Not if you both go together. I remember it.
I
have a video.
Somebody sent it to me on Let's Hear It for the Choice. And I was like, I've made it.
Oh my God. You're kidding.
But then the second night,
you tried to do it again.
I tried to do it again and it sucked. I sucked.
You know, but that was the beauty of Frenchwoods, and I think that's a perfect way to end our episode.
It is. I think so too. Wow.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for watching. Olivia, thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
And we will see you all next time. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to my conversation with Olivia. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did. Please be sure to follow me on social media at Veronica Stern and on TikTok at ThatMixChickNYC. And we will see you all next time. Bye.
Wait, this is so fun. Oh my gosh. Gab session.